It's still waiting.
1 second here, guys. I can't tell if we're upside down or not.
And still says it's waiting.
Is that?
There's a little rotate thing there. Is that not? Can you not hit it?
Oh.
That looks better. It's rotated now.
No.
It just doesn't show me. Are you sure you're on?
I don't know.
Ah! I see you.
Are we
You're
on?
sideways right now.
We're good?
No, you're sideways.
Okay. Well, maybe we're going to have to do this again.
That sucks.
Oh. All right, guys. We do not know why, but we cannot seem to get this horizontally. So vertical we are again. Here we are. Can you guys hear us okay?
Testing.
I do not know. YouTube changed so much since we were last live. Well, not last live, but you get what I'm saying.
That's
Hi,
so
yes,
weird.
you can hear us okay. I know I even put it on that we were horizontal when I set it up too, so I don't know why it's doing this, but here we are. Yay! Welcome in, everybody. I'm actually going to kind of maybe cock us to the side a little bit.
Oh my. Okay.
So that maybe you can see us.
You need to go that way more because your chair's over there. There you go.
All right, guys, we're doing live Q&A. We're going to get started eventually.
Careful, sit at an angle. Sit at an angle.
Let me know what questions you guys have. We just got off the call just like maybe a couple hours ago off of Reseller's Edge, so I feel fresh. To answer some questions.
Yes.
So go ahead and drop your questions down in the chat. We'll get started here in just a moment, but I did want to address one thing that it seems like everybody is chatting about, which are the Poshmark fees that have changed. So have you had a chance to look at those fees yet?
Yeah. It looks like there's definitely some contingencies, like times where it definitely is more beneficial and times where it's actually not. Looks like you might want to, I guess, take into account your listing price and some stuff like that. But I mean, I'll take the changes, right? Anytime that they're going to support us as sellers, I'll take.
So that was not what I was expecting when they were talking about switching up the fees. Definitely in every case, no matter the price point, the seller is saving money, period. It's just all about the buyer. So let us know what you guys think about ASMR. I love that. Let us know what you guys think about the new Poshmark fees. I'm definitely still on the fence. I know a lot of you guys have asked questions. I don't feel like enough time has passed to really give a full honest answer because we just haven't had enough data, but so far so good. I know a lot of people said that sales were just completely crickets once that happened. I think that was honestly just like time of the year because not only on Poshmark, but also on eBay, we had significantly slow sales for the past couple of weeks, but they're picking back up. We've had quite a few sales on Poshmark and the new fees are nice. And although my biggest concern is, are we pushing the buyers away by putting the fees back onto them? It does seem like every platform is moving this way. So I think it's becoming more of a norm for buyers because really the only place that isn't putting the platform fees on the buyer right now of all the major platforms is eBay. And even eBay is testing that out in some other countries. So we kind of talked about this morning, like we see it potentially down the pipeline soon. So I think it's going to become the norm for buyers, and I'm hoping that they're not going to freak out as much as we think they are, but it's been all right. We'll keep checking it for you guys and let you know what we think.
We have a couple questions a question in so far from Library Voices ASMR. Do you send offer to watchers all the time? What is your typical discount? And do you run sales on eBay?
Yes, to all of the above. We send out offers to watchers all the time. I don't really have a set schedule, but I try to do it several times a day, just whenever it pops into my head. I would say on average, I probably send them out 4 to 5 times a day. And I do it in bulk. So I just pick a bulk amount. I just check all that's eligible to send, and we send out 15% offers to watchers. Your other question was about running sales. That is something that we newly started doing this year. Previously, we didn't really run a whole lot of sales. So I've been testing out coupons, markdown sales, seasonal sales, all kinds of stuff, and newsletters, and just seeing how they kind of work with my store, because unfortunately and fortunately, eBay does have a lot of options when it comes to discounting things, and sometimes that can give you like analysis paralysis, but I think you just got to pick one avenue and try it out for a while. What has worked really well for us is markdown sales, and honestly, the amount just kind of varies depending on how quickly we might want to move an item, how aggressively we want to move things, how old are the items. If they're older, we're sending out a more aggressive sale, but I've done as much as up to 50% off on certain categories, but usually it's about 30% off of some stuff.
Mary says, hi from Rhode Island. My sales have been dead on Posh since the change. Hopefully they will even out. Welcome, Mary, quite contrary. I've missed you, friend. Felicia says, so I'm struggling with comping and pricing my items. Sometimes I can't even find an item sold similar on eBay, and I'll take out some words, but I'm still not getting good results sometimes. What do you do? Can I take this?
Yeah.
I guess tip number 1 is stop trying to convince eBay search results to condone what you're buying. That was my biggest takeaway when I started. I really wanted to pick up an item, and I'm like, I swear this is great. And so I would search it like 1,000 different directions, and an item just isn't a great item. I try to put as much detail into the listing as what I can, or into the title as I can to search. But you also have to keep in mind that however you search is typically how you list as well. So if you're not getting the results, then the words that you're using probably aren't going to bring that buyer to your item. And the same thing kind of happens when you're comping an item and you're not finding it in search in general. Like, it's probably not an item that you should be picking up. So I wanted to just, I guess, start with that. Sorry, we have somebody who's having some personal issues.
I only caught the end of the sentence.
It's
and
okay.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. But that would be the first thing. Troll day. I love trolls. So should I say bring them on? Because I'm feeling it today. Maybe I shouldn't. But that's what I would start with, is definitely making sure that the item is legitimate and that you really feel like you should be picking it up. But if that's the case, then I would try backing out a little bit and just see what you can come up with, and kind of go from there. So,
yeah, I recently put out a video about sell-through rate, and within that video, I kind of talk about how search results get narrowed, how you might be being too specific or too broad. A lot of people are trying to find like the exact item. Like if you've got a red Talbot's casual turtleneck sweater, like you're trying to find the exact amount. You're probably not going to find the exact item. Most things you can't search like the exact style for, but continuing to back things out. And like Nikki said, if you're not getting the search results that you're hoping to see, really consider and be honest with yourself that maybe that isn't the right item. But as resellers, one of the hardest things I think, definitely one of the longest things it takes to learn, is what to include in search. That's where a lot of people struggle. And we're trying to help the community out with that for sure. But look for adding to your search things that you know increase or decrease value, and it will really help you to narrow things down more appropriately. So if you've got a great material, make sure to include that in your search. If you've got something that's a hindrance to your item, like a short sleeve when normally they're long sleeve, include that as well, and it can certainly help. Check out that video if you haven't already. Do we have more trolls, or are we still
Oh yeah, no, they're coming.
Really?
Oh yeah. I've blocked quite a few.
The same person?
Oh no, lots of different ones.
Ah,
it's gonna be a good day.
Sorry guys for the trolls. We went like a few lives without any issues, and now
that's all right. Let's see.
Mary said she missed us. I don't know if you saw that.
True Wants a Band says, what about the Posh changes? Which we were talking about earlier.
The Posh changes are, oh, were they asking or did they not know what they were?
I think they came in a little bit later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we just discussed all of the Poshmark fee new structure and how we felt about it.
Yeah. Deborah says, my eBay sales abruptly stopped over a week ago. It took me 5 days to figure out all my promos were off. It took all day to fix since the bulk edit tool was not working correctly. That's crazy. Says, if you are looking for style-based items for vintage, especially, what would be the best way to search?
Sorry, I'm distracted by some of these comments. Guys, what is going on today? Everyone came out of the woodwork.
I mean, I technically challenged them, so I don't think I should have done it, but it's fine.
Okay, I need the question
okay
again.
All right.
Sorry, guys.
If you are looking for style-based items for vintage, especially, what is the best way to search?
I think it's really hard to search style-based stuff. I think that you can include factor. It's honestly similar to the way you search other things. You just want to get your search narrowed down to the best possible things, usually omitting the brand also, unless you know that brand is really good. Like, we all know that vintage Gunny Sacks is good. So we would include that in our search if we were comping it. But if we found a Gunny Sacks style dress that wasn't Gunny Sacks, I would probably just omit the brand unless you knew that was a desirable brand, and just search like vintage long sleeve prairie maxi dress or something like that and go from there. But the fact of the matter is, I've really learned this with style-based search. We actually just put out a video in Reseller's Edge because there was so much confusion on it and comping them, is to really just know what the bolos are, learn what the top tier bolos are in each aesthetic, and then you don't really need to rely on comps if you can make sure that all the factors are there for that aesthetic. So in, Gunny Sacks prairie dresses or lookalikes of that would be that they are, they have that same silhouette, they're the same pattern, that they actually are a true vintage label, whether it's Gunny Sacks or not, and that they just have like all the factors that would be in a Gunny Sacks dress. That's how you know, yes, I should probably pick that up regardless of comps. If it's missing several of those details, that's when I would probably leave those items behind personally. But you're right, it can be really, really difficult to comp and also to price and decide whether to pick up style-based stuff. But I would say if you focus on the hot ticket items, you'll always be in good shape. And if you want a deep dive on this exact topic, I can't spend the whole call talking about this today, but we do have video about exactly that in Reseller's Edge and how to find those factors and make sure you've got all of them to pick them up.
So True Wants a Band, I'm going to jump around a little bit and then I'll go back, but it says, want more specific information about Poshmark changes. So there's been a lot. When we were there, it's been a month ago.
Yeah.
They talked about a lot of other things like adding 100 items to your tray
that just started.
Yeah, on Posh Lives. I've been waiting for that. I'm excited for that. We were talking about earlier was the fee structure. So it was 20% before?
Yep.
And now it's kind of varied.
5.99% plus
$1, $2, or $3, depending on the price of your item. So that has changed. Most of their changes were actually featured mostly around Posh Lives, which was quite interesting. Although we hadn't really until recently started to get into Posh Lives. But having a lot of the larger trays are definitely going to help. So you can sell more items. It used to be you could only do 50 at a time. Now you can do 100. So that's to kind of compete with Whatnot a little bit, which I appreciate. I'm trying to think of what else.
If you don't do live shows, most of their changes weren't applicable to you, except for the fee structure change, which they just announced that wasn't even at Posh Fest. But beyond that, the only other thing I can think of is they're going to beta test doing consignments. That's also not going to get rolled out to a whole lot of people, and I do foresee that taking a long time. to roll out. So I don't think, honestly, other than the fee structure change, that there was a whole lot that was really applicable to most people, unfortunately.
I was really excited about the consignment, though. I thought that that was an interesting piece because I think there's a lot of people out there who maybe don't want to spend the time to find items, but also it helps you kind of get first dibs on them, which I thought was interesting as well. So, all right. Let's see what else.
Hey, everyone. 136 people watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, please.
When selling clothes and shoes, do you recommend using white background remover?
You know, we used to do the white background removal for everything. And then I'm not sure how long you've been following us, but we used to have very clean, crisp, very stock photo-esque looking pictures. They did look very nice. But we kind of weighed back and forth. Do we really need this in order to make sales? And if we can get rid of it, you know, is it worth it to save the amount of time and not have the lighting set up everywhere? And so we tried it. And now we currently do not use any lighting except for our regular room lighting. I realize that that might not be available for most people. If you don't have, you know, very bright lights, then it might not work for you. And maybe you do need lighting. But I think for most people, just being on a plain white wall or just a plain background in general, whether it's, you know, a piece of carpet or it's a bed sheet or whatever, as long as there's a clean, plain background and the lighting is there where it's bright enough you can tell what the item is, I don't think you need a background remove. I honestly now believe that it does look nice. So I'm not going to lie and say I don't miss it sometimes, but in order to make sales, you don't need it. And even the platforms themselves, you know, they just suggest having a clean, clear background. It doesn't necessarily have to be background removed.
Somebody was asking, let me see who. Suze A says, do you ever worry about touching or selling used or old items because of how people say that you can get bed bugs, etc., or breathing in dust in your lungs from the Goodwill bins?
Do I worry about it ever? Yeah, sometimes. Has it ever happened? No. I mean, that could happen anywhere, to be honest with you. Is it more likely to happen at a place like a thrift store? Probably. But I mean, you can't go your whole life just being worried about getting this or that. And the reality is that could happen anywhere. So does it pop into my head sometimes? Yes. Do I worry about it on a daily basis? No. And if, you know, something at the bins has a clear issue, usually other people notice it too, and it gets shut down immediately. But we've honestly never actually had that happen at our bins. We've had some wet, nasty stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But as far as like a bed bug outbreak or something like that, no. I will say when I do go to the bins, and this could be because I'm just not used to it, like my allergies really do act up quite a bit. There is a lot of dust and stuff like that, but just builds the old immune system.
We always made the joke during certain
pandemics.
Yep. I was trying to not use the word so we wouldn't get banned. But we always made the joke that if you could survive the bins, you could survive that.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty true. We built a heck of an immune system there. So,
yeah.
Let's see.
What stuff at the bins is the absolute worst. Yeah, you're just having a good day and you're digging, and all of a sudden you're like, ugh, like it sucks.
Do you adjust your prices when inventory becomes in season again?
We currently do not. However, it is something that I would like to start implementing. In most cases, I think if we still have items that we've held on to for a whole year, so the whole season has come back around, generally you've had those things for a year, I think at that point, most of the things that we would have are probably not items we would pick up anymore. And therefore, I would probably not reinvest work into them. But if there were items, I was like, you know what, like I would still pick this up today and I don't understand why it didn't sell, then I would take those items and I would rework them for sure. We've kind of been trying to start to keep an eye on that. We definitely need a better plan. We just now came out with a seasonality plan for dropping prices just to make sure we flesh out things. But that is something we probably should look into as well and add to our seasonality plan.
Yeah.
Heather loves your dress.
Oh, thank you. Could use the comments after the other comments earlier. How can you advertise someone to not look at this like a dirty job? Thanks so much. Love your videos. I mean, it's a job. Like every job has parts of it that you like and don't like. You can always choose to wear gloves if you prefer. But the reality of it is it's just clothing. So bless you. That's the way I look at it. It's just clothing.
I mean, if you're talking to other people and they're the ones looking at it like that, like we actually got this question kind of last time. I always tell people like we sell vintage and pre-owned clothing. And when you say vintage clothing, for some reason, people resonate with that better. They see more value in it. And, you just tell people like you're saving things from the landfill, maybe having some facts about how many tons of clothing end up in the landfill and just get absolutely wasted. The fact that you're helping save the planet can sometimes turn somebody's mindset around too.
Yeah, for sure. Young Bull says, what item surprised you most that has a market?
Ooh, this is a good question.
I know, I should think about it.
I can think of like a million, but I'll give you a couple recently. We recently, over the last year, have sold a ton of Old Navy dresses. Now, I have to give the caveat that it really depends on so many factors being in this dress. But that was like our gold mine this year. And for everybody on YouTube that was following that, and also in our group, like we had people in our group selling pre-owned Old Navy dresses for $40 just because they were marketing it correctly. We have another troll, I think. But what is going on? But sorry, all these trolls are breaking my train of thought, you guys. The other one I came across recently, I came across a damaged Tory Burch like cardigan thing with like a hole in it. And I was like, and I threw it back because I was like, I'm not going to sell it with this giant hole. Well, later I was thinking about it and I was like, I wonder if I could have taken the buttons off of the Tory Burch cardigan and just sold those. Now, it was past the time. I couldn't go back and get the item. But I looked it up and you actually can sell those and they have a decent sell through. And I was like, well, heck, not next time I come across a damaged like luxury item like that, I'm going to see if maybe I can sell the hardware and stuff. So I think that surprised me recently. You have any that come to mind?
No, not necessarily. Like I think Old Navy is another great shout out. I can't even take today seriously. Like I'm so sorry.
There's been like 10 people. What is going on, you guys? We need to assign some mods here real soon.
Yeah. Hey, let's start with Heather. I know her.
No pressure. If you don't feel like managing the chat, don't worry about it. But we are going to give you, Heather, some mod access so that if you see some trolls, you can help us out.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think about, I guess, something that really surprised me. I would say a lot of it's just the style-based stuff in general. I mean, there's a bunch of different aesthetics you could pick from. I'm not going to go into like all the specifics with it, but there's definitely a lot of brands that I think that are out there that people skip on because they just don't know the right words to pair it with.
Yeah. Let us know down in the comments because I think that's a great question. What is something that surprised you guys recently that sells really well? I recently put out that video where I forget what exactly I had it titled for, but I posed the question, what's the most insane thing you've ever shipped? And it was a giveaway, so I got a lot of comments on it. But there were some really interesting bolos in those comments. So like I really enjoyed learning from you guys. So I love questions like this because I think you can learn like a ton from other resellers. So if you haven't already, go back to the comments of that video. I think it was things I wish I would have done in Q4 maybe. But definitely go back and read those comments because there's some pretty crazy things that people have shipped out and some interesting bolos.
Stain removers. What would be your most recommended stain remover?
Why are you laughing?
I just, it's a day.
I am not a laundry expert. So I usually just grab whatever spray and wash is there and spray. The girls at the office recommended, what's that bar that you guys recommend? Fell's Naphtha. It's like a really cheap bar at Walmart, and it looks like a soap bar, and you rub it on things. So all the girls at the office recommended that. And honestly, I have used it on some things, and it works pretty well. So I guess I would recommend that, but I am by no means a laundry expert. Like,
that is Mandy.
Most of my clothes have stains on it, if I'm being honest.
Let's see what else. Somebody recommended Canva Pro as a great background remover. We Are the Wilson's Closet said, hey, I've been reselling for about 5 years now. I'm wondering when is the right time to become a business as far as tax purposes go instead of a sole proprietor?
That's a great question. I think, honestly, I got away with being a sole proprietor for a really long time, probably longer than I should have. Definitely, if you get other people involved in your business, you want to LLC sooner rather than later. Like if you hire an employee or a contractor or whatever, I would definitely recommend that's probably like you definitely need to do that. Beyond that, though, I think you can remain a sole prop for a while. The only additional benefit of doing it, because you get the same, like just being by yourself in an LLC and the sole prop, you get the same tax advantages. The only difference between the two of them is when you're an LLC, now people can only sue the business. They can't sue you. So it is something I would consider sooner rather than later. Can you get away with it as long as you don't have any issues? Yes, you can, and you hope you never have to use the fact that you're an LLC, but I would definitely look into it. It's a lot cheaper than you would think if you do everything yourself. And it can just be some peace of mind, but definitely for sure, if you bring anybody into your business, you definitely want to LLC.
Felicia said, so I'm starting out and most of my items have been given to me from family or coworkers to list. Should I even waste my time listing them if they have bad comps? I have a huge mountain pile in my garage. I would feel bad donating them since they went out of their way to give me items, but also don't want to waste my time. What would you do? My perspective is it seems like you already know what you should be doing.
Yeah, I would donate them. I wouldn't feel bad about them. If you feel bad, just like go to the furthest thrift store that you travel to and donate them there. Or donate them to a place you feel really good about their causes. But I personally know I wouldn't list things just because you have them, because it can really bog you down in the search algorithm. More? For real?
I think I challenged the thread.
I hope some of you aren't joking, because some people might be getting blocked. Pretending to be trolls.
Oh no, they're all gone. They're all gonna be upset. Your subscriber count's gonna be 0 because I'm just like, you get a ban, you get a ban, you get a ban.
I just wonder, like, why today?
I think it's because I said what I said.
Poshmark fees. Most buyers are not happy. Have you had actual buyers reach out to you? We haven't had any buyers say anything to us, other than we did have somebody just kind of, they weren't rude, but just ask about it on a Posh Live show, just about like why they were getting charged certain fees. But we haven't really had any buyers asking us specifically about it.
I mean, I think that there's always going to be growing pains, you know?
Yeah.
That's the struggle for sure. Since my promos went off on eBay, has stopped showing my items by 50K per day. How do I reboot my store? Not getting watchers or sales in 2 weeks.
When you say promos, are you talking about like your promoted listings, or are you talking about like a promotional sale that you were running? Because I mean, honestly, either way, whenever anyone makes a major change in their store, like if I went on today and I increased all my prices by 5%, like that's a major change to your store. It's happening to all of your items. If I went on today and I turned off free returns, like that would be a major change to my store. And so it definitely can take some time for everything to just kind of refocus. I've mentioned this a lot, but eBay is like an online catalog. So whenever it settles into where it thinks it's supposed to be based on what you've listed it at. If you shake anything up, it now has to come out of that and recatalog. So it takes some time for it to really settle into where it thinks it should be. So if you're making a lot of changes, I've seen it take anywhere from like 1 to 2 months sometimes. Not saying that you're going to consistently have like abysmal sales for 1 to 2 months, but it can take some time for things to just kind of catch up.
Somebody wanted to know if you had any advice about listing jeans. How to sell
Just
jeans
in general?
Yeah, any advice you can give me on how to sell jeans?
My best advice is to only pick up jeans with a high sell-through rate, and then you don't need to worry about them. I don't know. I would say to really consider, this is true for any item, but just to consider like what your buyer would be looking for if they came to a listing like that. So jeans in particular, you really want to be thinking about what the buyer might be looking for when they come to a jeans listing so that they don't have to ask any questions and they can just buy yours. The thing that comes to mind for me is they probably want quite a few more measurements than most of the clothing items that you might sell. So making sure you have your waist measurement, your rise. Some people do hip, we don't do hip, and then inseam for sure. If there's any kind of stretch, maybe putting stretch in the title or including that as a feature. If there's a style name, think about what the buyer would be looking for when they click into your listing. And if you've got everything included, then there's no reason that they wouldn't want to walk through with the sale. But of course, that's true for any item. Can you think of anything specifically for jeans?
I mean, I would just try to keep in mind that they need to be seasonally appropriate. I think for sure that most people list things with according to seasonality. And I think with like jeans, you need to be more versatile, and they are more of like a staple item. So I think you need to be able to like upsell their features more than what others. But I mean, other than that, like a listing's a listing to me. So
yeah, maybe consider like competitive shipping. So jeans tend to be pretty heavy. Make sure you're giving the at least offering an option for the best shipping possible for the buyer. Usually that's going to be something flat rate. So if on most of your items it's by weight and distance, maybe take a look and see if a padded flat rate or a regular flat rate, if you can fit it, would be more beneficial to your buyer.
I agree. We had a couple people talking about background removal that they used. Recommend Claritin if you go to the bins. This person says you find a lot of sellers listing items at such a low amount because they just want to get rid of it, while there are others listing it around what it should probably sell. What would you do then?
What would I do if I saw that, like as I was comping something?
I'm assuming they're meaning if they were going to list it themselves, what would you do at that price? If you see people who are significantly selling it under market, but then you have a few that are listing it at market, like imagine like a $50 item people were listing like $14 with.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about what things are listed for, it's what they're selling for. So I would always filter to the solds and see what's the average going rate for items like that, and that's the price you want to go with. Just because somebody might have an item listed for, heck, what did I look up the other day? I looked up something the other day, and it was like, a bread and butter brand, and someone had an item listed for like $100, and I was like, why? Like, what? So it doesn't matter what somebody has things listed for, because we all make mistakes every day, and chances are someone made a mistake and that item's probably not going to sell. But go to your filter to your solds. That way you know realistically what things are actually going for. And then if you want to sell things faster, sell them for slightly under what people are, and you'll probably move it quicker.
Dynamic Dawson would like to know if you think eBay Live will ever be bigger than Whatnot.
I have some slight insight into that, and I'm hoping to have more over the next couple of months. So I can't really answer that right now. But if theoretically eBay were to open up lives to every category and to every seller, do I think it would be bigger than Whatnot? Possibly. I mean, eBay has way more users than Whatnot, so the likelihood of that happening, in my opinion, is pretty likely.
What app do you suggest to manage a storefront? I feel like one of our people we knew from Reseller's Edge has experimented with quite a few. but I'm not honestly sure what she narrowed down on. I feel like having both is kind of a nuance. Like it's definitely up and coming. So I'm not exactly sure.
The people that I know from our group that run a storefront use Shopify.
Okay.
And they're able to combo that with Vendu. I heard that List Perfectly has some issues with like Shopify. But if you're going to do both, like reselling online and that, then having a cross-posting tool will definitely be handy. But just in general, I've heard that Shopify can be a pretty good one to run a storefront. Am I an expert? No, but that the people I know that run storefronts, that's what they use.
Someone wants to know, have you considered selling older vintage clothes from the 1930s to 1950s, like a dress?
I mean, I'd sell anything if it was profitable, right? I don't think that we've, to my knowledge, ever come across those. If we did, personally, I would know to look it up. But I don't think I've ever come across those. But yeah, I mean, I would sell anything if I can make money off of it and can sell it pretty quickly.
I'm not sure about year. I've definitely come across some pretty vintage dresses. Just through like a wholesaler I had at one point. A lot of them were not as desirable as what you would have thought that they would have been, which was really sad. But some of them were, and a lot of them tend to be more style-based. So
I think the 1930s ones are more like the plain white, like oversized. They almost look like nightgown kind of things.
Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of home decor items on eBay, but not clothing. Any tips for starting to add clothing to my store?
Clothing can be a really great category, way easier to ship. Yeah, I don't know. I think, again, just with everything, having a high sell-through rate, just really using data to back yourself up, especially if you are just starting out, because you want to really mitigate risk when you're starting so that you don't end up buying a bunch of things or listing a bunch of things that aren't actually going to sell, or else you're going to get very discouraged. So, understanding sell-through rates and how that impacts your pricing, I think, is the biggest thing. Honestly, study the solds for clothing. You can't go wrong with that. Pick one category. Maybe it's jeans. Pick jeans, study what sells in women's or men's jeans and get really good at it before adding another one, and just take little bites at a time.
Suze says, do you think it's better to take flat lay photos or hung up photos?
I think whatever is going to make your process easier and faster and still look great for the buyer. I think if I were to try things over again, I might try an inverted flat lay. But I think that our hanging system works really, really well. And besides the inverted flat lay, I don't see a better system than the one we have, because an actual flat lay where you have to like bend over, I have done that in the past and it hurts your back. And it takes forever. So if you're choosing between a regular flat lay, like on the floor, or a hanger system, I definitely prefer the hanging system. But I think an inverted flat lay is a really great option as well, where you can move really quickly and the items can still look really good.
Karen Wall says, I found some cool school bus cards in my desk from the 90s that were promotional offer from Nabisco, and they amazed me at their value.
That's pretty cool.
I love that. What is your favorite bread and butter brand to sell?
Honestly, probably Old Navy at this point. I like any brand that people tell me I can't sell. Like, honestly, that's been my challenge this whole year, is if you tell me I can't sell something, it makes me want to try to sell it. So Old Navy, as we mentioned before, has been one of our, I'm not even exaggerating, it's been one of our top ultimate best sellers all year. And now we've moved from dresses and we've even branched out into some other things like skirts and tops. And we're just being cautious as we go along. But honestly, Old Navy is it's a solid brand.
Poshmark fees. My buyers are not happy. I missed something about bogging down the algorithm. Care to repeat the advice? I don't know what you're talking about, bogging down the algorithm.
I think we were discussing, somebody mentioned they had received like items from family members to sell, and we're asking if they should just go ahead and list things, or if they should be,
Oh, that's true.
cherry picking out of it and only listing the things that would sell and just donate the rest. And if we're talking about the same conversation, my suggestion was don't list things that aren't going to sell because it will bog you down in the algorithm.
Somebody said they had people asking if items on Posh were available on eBay because they didn't want to pay the fees from Posh.
Oh, dang. That's not good.
I would be careful because I know Posh can sometimes register when you're talking about other platforms. So I would definitely be careful, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
I had a buyer ask me to reduce the price of an item because of the fees. I lowered the price, but then she didn't buy it anyways. That makes me so mad. Like, I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah, I would say, guys, because we have a lot of people in the reseller community really heated about this. Give it a month. Give it a month. See if your buyers are still upset about it. If they are still upset about it, then you can be upset about it. But generally, things phase out and people become more comfortable with it. And I bet here in a month we won't have as many upset buyers and everything will go back to normal.
Yeah. Electric Esso says, I'm a little behind, but about the bed bugs, my stockroom has, I can never pronounce this word. D-earth. You know how to pronounce that?
Mm-mm.
I know what it is. It's like a...
diatomaceous?
Yeah, I don't know. Spreader... What is it? Diatomaceous earth.
She's got it.
We got our hippie child back there. She's got us. The baseboards and around the bottoms of boxes, it's non-toxic and it kills all the bugs.
Okay.
I have heard that. I've heard a lot of people who actually use. It's old dinosaur bones, she says.
Oh,
I like it. I've heard a lot of people who do use it for bugs and issues and stuff as well. So I mean that's another good shout out.
That's new to me. I've never heard of that. So thank you.
Kristen said she might block the person that did that. I'm all about blocking people today, especially. So let me know. eBay keeps sending reminders to finish my drafts. I'm actively working on them, but do you think it's affecting my status or my sales? I don't think so. I think it's just something new that eBay's doing. We've gotten them too. I think it's just as like a friendly reminder that you have stuff that's in drafts that needs to go out. So I wouldn't be super concerned about it. I just wouldn't leave them sit there forever. I would make sure you have a rotating plan to get them out. Chris and Katie said, I listened to the style-based sourcing tier call in Reseller's Edge, and I made a PDF for it that you might like.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Drop it in Reseller's Edge or send me a message. I want to see it.
Felicia says, struggling with keywords, aesthetics for jeans. What are some good ones? My husband keeps putting casual for everything. Yeah, I feel like casual is definitely a really easy one. We go over a lot of styles and aesthetics in Reseller's Edge. So if you want to find some of the top tier ones to list with, you probably want to get that in there. So
yeah. I think it really depends on like what style they are, right? Because if it's like flare, maybe you'd use like Western or Festival or something. But if they're just pretty plain ones, one of our favorite ones was like Normcore, like NORM core. But there's a bunch of them. The more plain ones are definitely more difficult. I feel like most people searching for jeans know what brand, what size they want, and that's what they're searching. They're probably not searching a whole lot of style aesthetic keywords, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Someone said they wanted to know if you would continue to offer 10% off discounts on Posh, or if you would go to 20 to try to help, I guess, combat against the increase in fees for the buyers, if you would change your offer structure.
I think we're currently sending out 15% off. I might be wrong about that. I do not plan on changing my structure because I want to see how it plays out. Like, I don't want to get my buyers used to me sending out 20% offers and then they would have been fine with it a month from now. So just kind of want to see how things play out. I never make decisions in the heat of the moment. And I feel like this is the heat of the moment for everyone because it just happened. I want to remind everyone that Poshmark, many months back also changed, and this affected the buyer as well, where you didn't have to send out discounted shipping anymore when you sent an offer. And that was something that changed that impacted the buyer. And I don't know about you guys, but my buyers are buying things without that discount. I turned that discount off. I've not had any issues and it all phased out. So I would really like to see how things play out. if they don't play out well, then obviously we'll look into doing some different things. But my intentions at this moment in time is not to change anything.
Caberti says it's kind of like Starbucks with their coffee prices. No matter how much they raise the prices, people are still buying them. People will adapt. And I think that that's a huge shout out as well. I know. I'm telling you.
Funny comments. They're not even like bad. I'm just like, what?
Do you offer on eBay? Do you send offers on eBay or just buy it now? We do not have offers turned on eBay, but we do send out like offers to likers on
until
eBay.
An item becomes 90 days old.
Yeah. How often do you delist/relist items? Do you have a relist strategy, or is it the same across all platforms?
Yeah, we don't really delist, relist, unless there's something we notice like we made a significant error with, which, to be honest, like I said before, it's not something we're really in the habit of doing. But we're not big relister, delister kind of people, because we believe if an item has data to back it up, it should sell. Usually if an item is not selling for us, it's because we overpriced it or it's coming out of season. And so we manage that by just dropping prices every single month, and that usually clears some things out. As I mentioned, we're going to start running some sales on going out of season items. We actually already started, and that's been somewhat successful. So we're going to continue doing that. But no, relist, delist, in my opinion, like if there's no point in relist, delisting if you're not going to like, if it's already an item that's not getting a whole lot of traction, there's really no point in relisting it. Like, in my opinion, it's just kind of a waste of time. People already aren't interested in it. So your only choice is to try to quick sell it with dropping price. If it's, completely listed wrong, which I hope, if you're at a point where you are looking at this, like you're listing things correctly. If it's completely listed wrong, maybe yes, we rework it. But in most cases, I just don't think that there's a point in relisting.
The Mommy Joy says reselling is so competitive in my area, and I'm having a tough time finding quality inventory, even style based. There are always several other resellers at the thrift stores when I'm there. Any advice?
What time do you get to the thrift store and when does it open? I would recommend maybe switching up your sourcing schedule if at all possible. We've noticed like we used to go to the same stores every single week at the same time. Like we had our routes planned and they were really good. Like we could count on, especially this one particular store, for like every time we went there, we'd get like 40 items at least. And it was a great time. Over time, that ended up not being the case. And we had to look at maybe going on a different day, getting there earlier, looking at other places in the area. Maybe if we can only get 5 or 10 great items from the store, maybe we need to just make sure to get out of there quicker so we can get to another store to find another 5 to 10 items. But you're right, it is very competitive. The early bird gets the worm, in my opinion. So I do think that the earlier you can go, especially earlier in the week, Mondays and Tuesdays in most areas are usually the best times to go. If you're not already doing that, just maximize your sourcing time and just shake things up a little bit and see how they go. There used to be a store that it was great every time we would come at the beginning of the week, and it wasn't. And now I know I got to go towards the end of the week. And I figured that out by just asking employees like, man, I noticed you guys haven't had a lot of new stuff coming out. Ha 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 ha. You know what I mean? Like, and they'll usually talk to you and tell you like, maybe they switched their trucks up and now the trucks come in on this day. So do a lot of talking, but switch things up and just see how they work for you.
I like that idea. I have the same problem with competition. I watch YouTube videos where people find tons of items in a single store, and I always say, yeah, right. It's definitely tough for sure.
You know what? I just got to say, like, sometimes it's not like sometimes there's no amount of strategy that you can do. Sometimes it's just being at the right place at the right time.
We've definitely had those moments. Like, our sourcing area is very, very competitive. Most stores we go into, there's at least 5 to 10 other resellers, good resellers that are in there and like buying the same kind of stuff that we're buying. And so it's definitely very, very competitive. But it's all about just really knowing like how to dominate the market. And knowing all of what to look for and doing your research and having it up here and being ready to kind of go once you get there. That really makes a huge difference. So the Lost Thrifter said, do you recommend offering returns on eBay? I'm brand new to the reselling world and learning so much. I appreciate your channel.
Those of you watching, what is our answer? Do we recommend offering returns on eBay? Let's see how many longtime subscribers are here. What is our return policy? Do you remember this was before we stopped lives?
When we created a whole riot about it?
Yes, we had a live right before we stopped doing lives for about a year. And one of the ones right before we quit, it wasn't the discussion, but somehow we got into the discussion about offering free returns and we converted like 10 people that day. It was great. People still talk about that live. All right.
We do accept returns. And yes, they are free returns. We do free returns for buyers.
So our thought process on that is just so especially on eBay, buyers can force a return. So even if the item just didn't fit them and you don't offer returns, all they have to do is say that the item was not as described and eBay's system will automatically approve it. There's no double checking it. It automatically gets approved. They get the return label. They're shipping it back to you. Of course, there are ways to fight it once you get it back, but unfortunately buyers, that's just the fact of it. Buyers can force returns on eBay. So if they can force returns, you might as well offer free returns so that you get the added benefits of offering free returns, both in search and also depending on if you're a top rated seller plus, that's one of the requirements. You also get a discount on your final value fee. So it's basically it's already going to happen, right? It's possible. So you might as well just offer it and get all of the added benefits, in my opinion.
All right. Next question. I'm going to scroll up a tad here.
Mary said, I would, just to the person talking about not being able, things being competitive in their area. She said, I would definitely recommend expanding your area if at all possible. When I go to certain stores near Boston, I can't do it all the time, but try to go at least every couple of weeks and it pays off when I do. Yeah. Changing it up, go to a different place. There's my favorite stores now are not my favorite stores that they were, last year, which is sad to think about, but things do change and you gotta shake it up. And like I said, sometimes guys, it's just luck, exposure. You gotta source pretty often and go to the same places. But sometimes I'll go down to the road to thrift stores where I hardly ever find anything and I'll find 50 items, right place, right time. Sometimes you just can't time it up, but you are more likely if you go earlier in the week and early when they open to find the best stuff.
Joe says, I'm finding keywords still better than brand names for the most part, even to the point where sometimes I leave the brand names out to fit more keywords. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we have some people that do that in our group. I wouldn't do it unless it were a brand most people don't care about. But yeah, if you've got a keyword that holds more weight than the brand does, then absolutely omit the brand and put a better keyword in to help you in search. I feel like that is that's probably more true for vintage pieces where you're not going to include the brand.
Betty Ryan says, do you still have 2 weeks of listings and ahead of time? And if so, are they scheduled out or do you leave them in drafts until you post them?
Our goal is to always have drafts scheduled out 2 weeks ahead of time, and we put them in the scheduled. We do not leave them in drafts. I find it very confusing for our team to leave stuff in drafts, because then they wouldn't know what's old, what's new. And when you schedule them, it comes out of your draft page. It's just it just clears it. It goes into a different place. It's much more easy to manage. We have gotten both ahead and behind several times. Sometimes we'll be scheduled out a month ahead. Recently, we're scheduled out probably a little less than a week at this point. We've just had a lot of stuff coming up. We had a day where the power went out and we had to send everybody home. We've had inventory that we've done. So there's a lot of things that play into that, but generally we do try to keep 2 weeks worth and we do put them in scheduled.
Somebody also asked about if you ever buy off of eBay to resell. I've been experimenting just because of my location and the difficulty finding anything worth reselling.
Patty, thank you so much. I love the little gamer emoji thing too. That's super cute.
Thank you.
Thank you for the super sticker. Let's see. So I forgot the question. I'm so sorry.
Do you ever buy from eBay or anywhere else to resell?
Yes. I do not make a huge habit of it. It's more like if I happen to come across it or if I just feel like searching that day. But there have been times where we've purchased from ThredUp or the Real. Excuse me, I need to go get some water. And also eBay if we notice it. But I don't usually make a habit of doing that every single week, although we probably could.
Yeah, we definitely could. There's definitely been a few items where you good, homegirl?
Joking.
Where we've searched for Bolo brands that we have had pretty good luck with. But as a whole, we generally don't. Every now and then we get free credit and stuff. We'll use those. But shrinking inventory, Taterland has actually been going decently well. It does take us some time, so that's been part of the process. Next thing on our list is shoes. If anybody's in the market for shoes, we're going to be doing a Posh shoe live at some point because we have lots and lots and lots of shoes that need a new home. But it's going pretty well, and we're really glad to get some of the inventory out of here and be able to, I guess, get better items into the inventory. But as far as like a set plan, it's just still kind of a work in progress. So
I'd like to get back down to 5,000. That would be my goal.
Do you send out eBay newsletters? We do send out eBay newsletters. We're experimenting with it, just more of like a seasonality.
Yeah, I've only really sent them out whenever we've ran a sale. Like I couple that with sending out a coupon or a sale.
Shelly says, I'm just learning. I'm not sure if I should add items before the show or as I go. Also don't know how to do that. I would always recommend having your show completely ready to go before you start doing your show because it can get a little overwhelming in the very beginning. So,
yeah.
We did discuss Poshmark fees. If you head back to the top of this video, you should be able to watch them and go into like all the details on what those look like. Patty says, I have unlimited inventory and limited listing time. Should I prioritize listing my new tags item for holiday gifts or used seasonal sweaters, coats, etc.? Thanks. Love you guys.
I would say which one has the better sell-through rate. That's the one I'd get listed. So whether it's the pre-owned or it's the new tags, I would get those listed.
The Mama Joy says, if you put keywords in the description versus the title, do they show up in someone's keyword search? There's not enough room in the title.
Sorry. It depends on which platform you're listing on. So if you're listing on Poshmark, both your title and your description get pulled for search. If you're listing on eBay, only your title by default. So there is a checkbox that when buyers are searching that they can check to include the description in the search. Most people don't see it or even know it exists. So you definitely for eBay want to put your best keywords in your title and then whatever else in your description. If you're on Poshmark, then I think, both apply and they can pull through. But we always make a habit because we cross-post and because we start everything on eBay to always put our best, most powerful, most applicable for the item in the title.
Casey wants to know, do people typically see an increase in sales once they get top rated seller?
That's a good question. I honestly have not ever tracked that with the people we've worked with, but in theory it makes sense that they would, because in order to achieve top rated seller, your metrics have to look a certain way. And if your metrics look that certain way, that means you're, providing good customer service and you're doing X, Y, and Z, which means that you're more likely to get sales, if that makes sense. So I don't necessarily think it means that you get a boost in sales, but I do think there's something to be said for you getting your store in tip-top shape and buyers liking that.
Suze says, how much do you recommend a solo reseller list weekly? I feel like it's hard to constantly get hundreds of items a month, especially at the bins because it's physical labor. Do you recommend online? I would recommend figuring out exactly how much money you need to make and then work backwards to decide how many items you need to list and at what price point you would need to list them. That's really the only way you can decide how many items you need to list, is just based on exactly how much money you need to personally make. There is no way of saying you should list this many and somebody else should list this many. It's not really based on whether you're full-time or you're part-time or whatever else that looks like. It's mostly just about how much money you need to make, and that'll tell you how much you can spend on your items. That'll tell you how much you need to be selling them for. Lots of different items and lots of different options.
Also, how quickly can you list? Because maybe when you're saying you don't have a whole lot of time, maybe there are things you can look at in helping yourself list faster to where maybe possibly you could get more done. I think personally, if you're in a situation, whether you're full-time, part-time, whatever, if you're in a situation where you don't have a whole lot of time, then you probably need to look at having a higher ASP model, in my opinion. High sell-through rate, higher ASP, meaning you are comping everything before you pick it up. You know that there's a high sell-through rate, a good demand for the item, and you know it's going to sell for X amount or higher. I would say for most people, $30 or higher would be a good starting point with a high ASP. And that way you can ensure that the time that you're spending on listing those items and sourcing those items is going to have a good payout for you. And also consider storage too. Like, do you really want to pick up a bunch of cheap items but have to house hundreds of items?
Pretty. I don't know how to say your name. I'm so sorry. Don't you, as a seller? Bye, Mandy. Have a good day.
See ya.
And don't you, as a seller, have to pay for returns if you offer it? If you do free returns, you do have to offer, or if you do free returns, you do have to pay for the return label. However, you're not technically paying for the original shipping label. So that's something, I guess, to kind of keep in mind. Most buyers, there's actually a little checkbox they can click if they want free returns or they don't want free returns. Most buyers, myself included, I would want the option to return something, and the cheaper I can get it, the better. So if I have the option for free returns, that's what I would choose. By having that toggled on, you end up getting more buyers. I could go into the whole conspiracy, but in all actuality, it might cost you $3 or $4, but I think that it would be worthwhile.
Yeah.
Do you have a video showing how to add items? You are easy to understand and to follow. What platform are you talking about, Shelly? Posh or whatnot? As far as adding items, Heather is right. There's a whole formula for how to determine how many items you need to list in your store. There's a whole formula, and you can get it in Reseller's Edge.
Yeah, we have spreadsheets and stuff. We already did it for you.
Yeah, you can literally just input your information. Megan says, as someone who doesn't have a lot of time and hasn't always been the best about that, I agree with Cayley. I'm trying to move forward with a higher ASP myself, for sure.
Yeah, guys, remember there's tons of dials that you guys can move. There's lowering cost of goods. There's higher ASP. All of those things affect your net profit. And then you can turn the dials on whatever is applicable for your life. Like if you need more time, okay, let's increase our average sale price, or let's increase our sell-through rate so that we're selling things quicker and we have more time back in our day. If time's not an issue and you have all the time in the world, then maybe we need to turn up how many items we're listing. Like there's tons of things that we can do to increase net profit for you guys.
Tamara wanted to know about our return rate, so I just looked it up while you're sitting here. It is just about 5%. So if you think about that, when I look at this, it says out of 2,149 transactions, 1,000, or not 1,000, that'd be scary, 124 were returned, most of which tend to be for size or fit. So really 124 out of 2,000 or just over 2,000 is not that bad.
Sorry, guys, I'm having a coughing fit.
Would love to go back to the live you mentioned that can convince me to offer returns. When was that one? I would have to look that up. That's been a long time. I don't even know if it would be labeled that way.
Yeah, it's not titled that way. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
I will try to look it up. Let me take a picture of your name and I'll see if I can find it. One tall sunflower. Okay, I took a picture of your screen name. If I can find it, I will try to, I don't know, can you message on YouTube?
No, but you can tag him.
I could tag you in the comment. If I find it, I'll tag you in the comment and let you know which one it is. Denise says, hit that like button. So much love, ladies.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I feel like last week I gave you guys coughing fits. This week I thought I was fine. I'm giving you guys coughing fits. So hopefully next week I'll be completely back. You guys ever get that lingering cough after like being sick and it just like chokes you up out of nowhere?
Yeah.
I gotta drink like hot stuff all the time.
Casey, if you're looking for more one-on-one opportunities of somebody like going through your stuff, comping with you, doing screen shares, videos, I'm telling you, Resellers Edge is the place to go. We do a lot of like one-on-one live examples, and it gives you a full chance to really sit and ask a one-on-one question where you can actually talk to us, show us some of the items that you're searching, let us search items with you. As far as doing that on YouTube, it's a little bit harder, but we love the opportunity in doing that in Resellers Edge. So
Bethany's also been doing weekly or bi-weekly, I can't remember.
Bi-weekly, I think.
Listing calls where people can hop on and she helps list items and things like that, which has been pretty cool.
Heather says it's the best reselling group. Thanks, Heather.
Yeah, we had
We love
people
you.
from the last couple lives we did, last live and the one before, that signed up just from listening to the live Q&A, and they're already really enjoying their time. So it's been cool to hear the feedback.
Heather, what would you say is your favorite part of Resellers Edge so far since you're here? And I, DM'd you as an admin because the trolls were trolling. What would you say is your favorite part?
Hopefully I will be on there soon. That would be awesome.
Heather says the live Bolo list. That is huge. It's almost over 800 now? It's pretty close.
It's almost to 700.
Oh, I thought it was over 7. Maybe I'm crazy.
I don't know. We're launching a new one. That newsletter is about to go out with a new Bolo list, and there's like, I was like, I'll just put like 20 on here. No, there's like 30 or 40 additions of things. So we're constantly adding to it.
I love it. Mary said, word on Resellers Edge. There's such a learning curve in reselling. You can use all the help you can get. I'm not currently a member, but I learned a ton when I was, and I hope to get back soon. We miss you. We really do. Be glad to see you again soon. Casey says, I also really liked the Ship With Me video. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to get back to doing more Ship With Me videos, like on YouTube in general. It's been crazy here, guys. Like our days are packed. We're running all over the place, but we're looking for opportunities to slow that down a little bit because we're spending a lot of time on Resellers Edge, as we should, honestly, helping people in the reseller community and looking for opportunities to spend more time here on YouTube as well. So we look forward to doing that with you guys.
Garcia says, do the newbies who sign up make an increase right away? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're going to like join day one and you're going to see a massive increase. You could join and be there for 6 months and make nothing. You could join for a day and make nothing. It's all about you and how much effort you put in. So we give you all the tools that you need to. There's 3 live calls a week. If you start running from the get-go, you could see an increase in sales the same week. But you definitely have to put the work in. We're just essentially telling you what boxes to check, what dials to turn, and really how to turn your business into what you want. The great thing about it is that it's an individualistic plan. You can join at any point with where you're at, but you can't expect to join and just make money without doing the extra work. But I like that it is a very individualistic plan. You can get on lives at any point. We can tell you how to work through your process, what's going to work best for you based on the types of items that you're listing. And I like that it really helps you work through it. There's lots of other freebies too. So you can get a free month of List Perfectly if you join. So you can try it. There's also another cross-posting tool. I'm not tied, so I feel like I can say it. But Vendu also has a free month on there. I think you have Posher VA also gives you a free month. So there's lots of other freebies. Even if you try it for a month and you decide it's not for you, that's totally fine. But there's so many freebies that you get just by joining for that first month that I definitely think it's worthwhile. Wendy says, I currently have 300 listings. I haven't bought a subscription for cross listing. Do you think it is the time to do so? Which one, and would the app that I get transfer my current listings? I would recommend always starting out early with a cross posting tool. We waited until we had a lot and then had to spend time cross posting them. It is an expense, but that's my 2 cents. If you're planning on growing your store, I would try to do it while you're growing. If you're planning on only staying at that like 300, then maybe not. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like you're right that it's better to do it early, but I also caution people like, have you mastered the platform you're currently on? Do you feel really good about it? Because if you don't, and then you add a secondary platform that you're also not confident in and you also don't feel good about, like it can become a lot. So I would really recommend to feel really good and solid and be consistent on the platform you're currently on before adding another platform. That being said, if you know you're already going to do it, then yes, doing it early is good from the get-go. I love List Perfectly. I have tried both Bindu and List Perfectly, and I prefer List Perfectly for my business. Both platforms are great. I think it's just which tools do you prefer to use, which interface. They both have bugs, so let me just say that. You can't just let a tool run and then not expect to verify anything. They both have issues with their D-list. They both can have issues with certain things. But in general, they're going to save you a ton of time. They're going to make you more money because you're going to be cross-posting in other places. I love List Perfectly. They have so many tools, like a background remover included, where if you were able to list on List Perfectly first, honestly, some people save money just because they have the combined features within List Perfectly. Code to that is in my Linktree in the description if you guys are interested, but they also have the best customer service.
Like, that's always great. My selling factor is customer service. And I appreciate that they're willing to like take any suggestions and make changes if you guys need anything. And Clara is just fantastic. So
yeah.
Tommy in Seattle. Oh wait, hold on, I gotta back up. I'm sitting here with a boot on my foot from a stress fracture, most likely from being on my feet sourcing so much. Any recommendations for a great place to buy bulk from?
Buying bulk is just hard because you can't be picky with what you get. And I'm just going to say like we're picky when we source because we want to make sure to get the right items that are going to sell backed up by data. So is there a great place for you to buy in bulk? Not necessarily, unless you can find yourself a wholesaler. So if you want to start, like, go to Shelly's Facebook group that we've mentioned before. If you want to just reach out to people in your community and try to develop connections, I definitely think that'd be good to start. But as far as just buying in bulk from somewhere, there's just no guarantee that you're going to get like really great items.
Tommy in Seattle says, Cayley, do you have another updated keyword list like you did 4 to 5 years ago?
No, a lot of people have been asking me about that. The keyword strings list. No, we don't. We use something a little bit different here, which is kind of similar to that, where the girls made a keyword board over there. And then in Reseller's Edge, Bethany has a keywords slideshow. So she'll show you like, I don't know, like cottagecore. She'll have a slide for cottagecore and there'll be a bunch of visual examples. She'll tell you the features to look for. So that for us has been what we've been using, but I don't personally have that right now.
Casey wants to know if there are any drawbacks to offering international shipping.
My suggestion is to go through eBay's international shipping program. We do not ship international directly because there are a lot of risks involved if something goes wrong. But if you go through a platform's international shipping, then you're going to get backed up by them. If you're talking about their program, I don't see a downside to going through the international shipping program because if something happens in transit, eBay backs you up in that. And you're opened up to like a whole new world of buyers. And we do have quite a few international sales.
I agree 100%. Let's see. Heather, I don't know if you've tried those perfectly, but there's that free link you can try if you want.
I think she currently uses them.
No, she said I use Vendu, but have been curious about LP.
Oh,
That's why I said that. Thank you for your wisdom and experience. We'll be joining Reseller's Edge in the near future. We'll be glad to have you, Christy.
We have a couple Christies, actually.
We
in
do.
The group.
Fiona says, I'm someone who sells mainly high MSRP, $100 plus liquidation or overstock. I know this is very different than your current business model.
Yeah.
Would Reseller's Edge be a good fit for me?
Absolutely. We have one of our core foundations in Reseller's Edge is that there isn't one way to do things. And if anybody at any time wanted to pivot their business, we know the best strategies within those business models. We have people in our group who have storefronts. We have people in our group who are bins only. We have people in our group who sell things for only over $100. So I absolutely think that there would be something for you. And also just like motivation, being in the reseller community, being able to ask questions, tips on listing. There's tons of stuff that you can learn, even if you do liquidation.
I have a hard enough time running eBay. I tried Flip or whatever, never could figure it out. I hear Flip is a little bit more difficult than what some of the other interfaces are, but I know originally it was free. I think it's like $10 now. You're right that buying in bulk can definitely help you with selling stuff for cheaper because you're obviously getting better pricing as well. Rachel says I'm a Canadian seller and I ship to the US all the time. I do it myself. I don't go through eBay and I rarely have a problem.
That's good.
That's awesome. And then Fiona wants to know how much Reseller's Edge is.
It is $50 a month. With your subscription, you're going to get access to our Facebook group. You'll get access to our course, which contains many, many videos. And then you'll also get access to our live calls. And we have every replay we've ever done available for you as well. It is hundreds of videos, documents, and things that you'll get immediate access to. And we always suggest, because we do have a lot of people asking about a discount off of their first month. If we cannot offer you the discount, but we did recently, within the past few months, start an affiliate program. So there are other YouTubers that are affiliates for us. If you search Reseller's Edge affiliate on YouTube, you'll see some videos pop up with links for 50% off of your very first month on Reseller's Edge. I can't give you the content creators' names because I want to make sure I'm fair to all of my affiliates. But if you search that, you'll see a discount code.
Katie wants to know, or she has a random video request, but I was wondering if you'd be willing to show your process on how you print your labels in bulk and pair them up accurately with the items that sold.
Yeah, I feel like we have a video on that. It's just
remember.
been a while. Yeah, I think it'll take me a moment. Shipping videos are honestly the hardest to edit for you guys because I have to blur out so much information and do the screen record and all that. But yeah, I definitely think that we could probably do like a ship with me video soon and make that happen where we could show that bulk process. I'd probably need Nikki's help. I probably couldn't do it just by myself, but
sure,
we could definitely get that to happen.
Anybody else have any questions?
Those were some really good discussions today, guys.
We have 192 people watching. That's almost 200 people. Please give us a thumbs up.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, if you don't have any other questions, we are going to hop off of here. We intend, as long as there aren't holidays or people off and things like that.
Or too many trolls.
Or too many trolls. Yeah, there were a lot of trolls today. We are going to hopefully be doing these live Q&As at the same time every single week. So stay tuned. We are happy to be back. And thank you guys so much for hopping on. Yes, we just sell like clothing, shoes, and accessories. There have been times where we've experimented and gotten a couple of hard goods, but 99.9% of the time, definitely that is the majority of our business. Yeah, Mary says only 11 thumbs up and 192 people watching. What is going on, guys? Be cool if all the trolls could give us a thumbs up. That'd be really awesome because there's a lot of you guys in here.
We use List Perfectly, Ryan. That's what we use.
Oh, you show 71 thumbs up. Okay, it's just
I love
taking
your
us a
name.
second.
I love your name.
I know. I was like,
Fart sack check. I saw that at first and I thought, oh no, not another one. But I like that. That's very original. I appreciate you being here. Lorna, we have not sold the cooler yet. The Orca cooler, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. It's still up there. What a bummer.
It's only been like a month.
I know. I'm just saying. You're both the reason I decided to take the reselling plunge. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much.
He says I've been kicked out of so many auctions because of my name. You know, I wish my YouTube name would have been really original. I think I just kept whatever YouTube gave me when I started. So
that's great.
List Perfectly does register old listings. You can cross post like chunks of them all at one time, and it just runs in the background and then goes active. So you don't have to worry about like hand cross posting everyone. You can do it by multiple pages. It does not end in relist on its own, but it will import. I thought that's what originally you were talking about. So if you're talking about ending and relisting on its own, that is not something that List Perfectly can do. You
can easily grab a bunch of them, in them, and then recross post them though. That way your links don't like get messed up, and you can do it that way.
How do you get the SKU to print on your eBay label?
There's a setting. eBay puts their shipping settings in the weirdest places, but you basically have to go to print a label, and before you pay, there's a couple different settings within that page. They're kind of like somewhat hidden, but you can Google it and it'll tell you exactly where it is. So before you purchase a label, you hit print. Before you purchase, it's somewhere on that page. That's the same place you also change it to like the 4x6 labels too.
He said funny part is it was supposed to be a joke one time, like 5 years ago. I had so much fun with it that I have stickers now. It's staying.
Oh, that's awesome.
Love it. I love that.
All right, you guys. Well, everybody have a great week. It was so nice chatting with you guys.
Yep, so good to see you guys. And hopefully we'll see you guys next Monday. Please do not invite the trolls.
Yep, bye. See you guys.